I'm gonna have to level with you. I really liked the Genius Project. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I heard about it day one, and I was like, oh heck yeah, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I was gonna write a book. Nay, I was going to outline, write, edit, and publish a book. I was gonna do it in 2 years. I was gonna work tirelessly. Nothing was gonna get in my way. But when was the last time a Genius Project one is planned? First though, I feel like it's important to tell you why I chose to write a book, to do the one thing teachers grimaced at and recommended against in later months, and I'll tell you, it wasn't on a whim. I didn't freehand any of this. It started when I was born. No, I'm just kidding. It started when I was about 18 months old, and I said my first word, diaper if you're curious, and I just never shut up for the preceding 17 years. It started when I was in 5th grade, writing a completely ridiculous story about 2 girls going on an adventure with the baby they were the unintentional and untested guardians of. It started in 8th grade, when our teacher told us to finish a story we'd read about a lady and a tiger, and mine ended with the lady riding the tiger off in the distance with the man she loved in tow. It started freshman year, writing a book about a school full of teenagers with superpowers, but somehow none of these superpowers could save them from their depression, anxiety, or backgrounds of abuse. It started junior year, when I came out as gay. And I know, that last one's totally incongruous. It doesn't fit with these other things about storytelling and writing your own story, except it changed the narrative. If I had realized the reason I didn't like boys was because I liked girls, I might not have gone looking for books and movies about girls who liked other girls, and I might not have realized there's approximately 3 of these books and movies. Total. 10 if you want to count the ones where they die at the end. And 20 if you want to include the ones where the producers tell you they're just very good friends. You can't just watch the same 3 movies, read the same 3 books over and over. You start to want more. More quantity, more quality, more diversity. So you write your own story. And I've been doing this ever since I was little, ever since I was an infant who just could not stop saying the most profane words she could get her hands on. Ever since I was in 5th grade, writing a completely ridiculous story about how to deal with a child you weren't prepared for while I went through the aftermath of my parents' divorce. Ever since I was in 8th grade, finishing a story about a lady overcoming the norm and conquering the beast meant to kill her while I struggled to find a place I felt at home in any sense of the word. Ever since freshman year, writing a story about kids who could destroy anything except their own depression while I went through bouts of depression myself. Ever since junior year, hearing about a chance for a new story and thinking, well, there's one problem I can fix. So forgive me if I was disturbingly excited for this project, if I was weird and I didn't groan or complain or worry what the flying heck I was gonna do, if I was different. And I'll forgive you for not being excited about my project, for not even really understanding what I'm talking about and thinking, didn't that one show just add another queer character? For being different. We're all different, we all need a story, but I need to tell you what I did in addition to why I did it. Passion, impact, challenge, all that. So what did I do? Well, I started with a whole bunch of different things that all just kind of climbed into the mixing bowl. My stepsister's enlistment in the army, teenage girl's inclination for romance, and a haphazard fondness for the concept of pen pals, and what I got was a love story between 2 girls, writing letters across hundreds of thousands of miles. Excitement was at fever pitch. I was outlining and writing blog posts about my ideas, and then I paused. And a pause was all that was needed for the fever to break. All the intoxicating adrenaline from the previous months dissipated like mist in the morning. I regrouped. I researched. I discovered outlining a book can take weeks. Writing one can take months. Publishing takes years. I had outlined in 2.5 weeks, but had yet to write more than a handful of passages. I was halfway through the time allotted for the Genius Project, and I wasn't nearly where I needed to be, and there was no way to speed up as exponentially as I needed to. Coming down from the high of effortless and endless creativity, it was clear as midday sun I could not accomplish in time all that I had set out to do. I'd been given this one chance to do what I loved, my profession in school, and to be held accountable by someone other than the FBI agent monitoring me through the laptop camera, and I had failed. I'd been given a chance to create something brand new, and I had failed. I'd been given a chance to show the world, I am not like you, but I still exist, and I had failed. So the pause reduced to a rest, which slipped into a silence. My biggest flaw was how long I waited, shuffling my feet. Could I do this? Would I do this? Should I do this? And then the summer of 2017 hit, and I decided I was not so weak as to trip, fall, and stay on the ground. I wasn't doing this project for the challenge, not primarily. I was doing it for the passion and the impact. I couldn't lose sight of what I wanted out of life to create for a moment of weakness. I couldn't let all those people watching the same 3 movies, reading the same 3 books over and over continue to see themselves as different, others separate, because I felt inadequate. I was doing this to learn my craft better. I was doing it to give myself and people like me another face in the media, no matter how small. This stumbling block was the challenge, and the challenge would not overcome me. I'd failed, undoubtedly. But it was not my first time. It was not my last, and it would not overcome me. So I stood back up, started talking again. I knew I couldn't finish this in time, so I reframed my parameters. Maybe I wouldn't have time to publish. Maybe I wouldn't even have time to start from scratch. So I reached back, and my hand came back to me with that idea from freshman year. School full of superpowers, and it's still not enough to save them from themselves. This idea was more realistic for my time frame. I knew it like my middle name, and I could write it faster because of that. There was still the representation I loved about my other idea, but less of the pressure of starting over with a blank page. I could still make a statement, still show the world my differentness, my extra, as my mom calls it, but I could do it in the time I was given. So I started writing again. I had it outlined in less than 2 weeks, and I was writing daily, making informational blog posts for new writers. And then I tripped again, or more accurately, my whole family tripped. And by tripped, of course, I mean we moved. Nowhere out of district, but there was nonstop chaos. My parents were out of town for a month, and I had to run interference between my brother and sister and keep the house running besides. And even when they got back, there was nonstop construction that left me without a door or even consistent power or Wi-Fi. I hardly had time to write, not to mention I was so stressed I couldn't sleep. It was wearing, grating, drawing on me. I'd been given this one chance, and I could feel the defense of a moment slipping into the excuse of a silence. So I put my foot down. I put a bedsheet on my door, and I asked my family, don't talk to me or ask anything of me for a few hours a day, and I wrenched my body back into my desk chair and contorted it into habits it was entirely too nervous to feel comfortable resuming. And now, finally, here we are. After working tirelessly and letting nothing get in my way, I finished my book on April 25th of this year. Thanks. But what did I learn? I learned not to procrastinate, that failure is okay, but like I said, I wasn't doing this for the challenge. I learned about myself. I can and will do what I set out to. I don't take well to the ground even after a fall, but more importantly, I learned to expand my perspective, to look at different things and to look at things differently. If someone were to ask me, 30 years from now, it's one thing I remember about the Genius Project, I would tell them, I learned to be different intentionally and to write to tell a better story. We're all different and we all need a story. I'm just hoping I can fill in some of the gaps, one page at a time. Thank you.